30 Days to Gluten Freedom. And what I really liked about her book, there's a lot of good information, but what I really liked about it was that she talks about gluten as a relationship and kind of a pathological relationship, right? And that, you know,
Yeah.
you kind of get addicted to being abused in a sense. One way. So Karen, can you talk a little about that? How did you come to look at it that way and express that?
Sure, absolutely. Great question. So yes, the book is 30 Days to Gluten Freedom. Break up with gluten and really mean it. And I know there's probably countless people out there watching that have made every attempt to stop eating gluten, but then this happens, or a holiday, or well, just a little bit isn't going to bother me. And what I discovered in my coaching practice is people are coming to me. I get a lot of referrals from GI docs that are saying, here's patients with celiac disease. I send them on their way, tell them don't eat gluten, come back in 6 months. And guess what? They're still eating gluten. They're not fully understanding what it's doing in their body. So I kind of approach this from two fronts. One is everything that you've given to me as a CGP, Dr. Tom, all of the science and the background behind what's happening in our bodies, what's happening even to our mind when we're consuming gluten, so that the clients have a full understanding of what's going on in there, right? Because until they can really internalize what's happening physically and even mentally, it's a little bit difficult to just make that connection. I just have to stop eating this, even though I've been eating it for 40 or 50 or 60 years, right? And then the other piece of it was it's cultural, it's part of who we are, especially just coming off of a holiday, 2 holidays, Thanksgiving and Christmas for a lot of us. A lot of the foods, you know, people go home for Christmas, right? They look forward to grandma's food. They look forward to mom's favorite recipes. And if you are diagnosed with something and can no longer consume that, it kind of rocks your world. And the book actually was born out of a relationship between one of my clients and myself. And her name, we call her Marley for all HIPAA purposes, right? She's a incognito, so to speak. And Marley came to me very similar. I have a gluten-related disorder. I can't have gluten. I'm struggling. I'm a mom. I have 2 small children. I don't like to let food go to waste. And this might sound familiar to a lot of moms. There's food on the plate and they just kind of munch, munch, munch as we're cleaning up and eating what the children are leaving behind. Also struggling with being busy, school activities, all of the above, right? So Marley came to me and she said, I have to go gluten-free, but I'm struggling. So we set up a plan. We got through about 21 days, long enough, right, to make a habit, 21 days. And then the holidays happened and somebody came by with a platter of cookies and she felt really guilty by not taking some of those cookies. So she thought, well, just a little bit, it's not going to hurt me. I'll take some over the counter. I'll be okay. And the more she had, the more she craved. And she wasn't having the immediate, I have to run to the bathroom, right? And the over the counters were suppressing the symptoms. But the more she ate, the more she craved, and the more she craved, the higher her anxiety went, and the more out of control her moods went. And we got to a point where she literally was in a very dark, dark place. And I said to her, Dr. Tom, I cannot in good conscience continue to serve you in this manner. I need to refer you out to a mental health counselor. Well, at that moment, she about had a nervous breakdown and said, please, I only want to talk to you. What else can I do? I said, we need to at least loop your husband into this process so that somebody else is accountable. It cannot just all be on me. I'm worried for your well-being. So she agreed to that. I said, this is on a temporary basis. We have to see how this goes. And so we all agreed. And her husband said, please, whatever you do, bring me back the 21 days of Marley. And I said, 21 days of Marley, what is this? And he says to me, this is when she managed to go the full 21 days without gluten. Her anxiety disappeared. Her mood swings went away. She was happy. I recognized her as the woman I fell in love with. She was being kind and generous and gracious in our household, and it was fun to be around her. Bring that woman back. So I started to think about this from the relationship standpoint, right? She's got this addictive kind of passive aggressive relationship with gluten. And the more she has, the more she wants, the more she craves. And it's an endless cycle. So I put into writing these journals, and they're all throughout the book. There's 30 days worth of them. And you're really addressing gluten from the standpoint of an ex, right? And so if you want to look at it as your girlfriend's best guide to a breakup, I'm kind of like your guide on the side. And I'm helping her and others to understand what gluten is doing mentally, physically, emotionally, and how to shift our mindset to make shift happen so that we can move beyond what our expectation is in the kitchen, at a dining room table, going out to eat, wherever it is that we might be. We have shifted the mindset completely so that we are not allowing that X to come back in.